Hey, Dan. 2 weeks in a row, it is a miracle. Good to see you again. David and Fiona won this evening, but Rob and Craig were hot on their heels. Who else is here? Fiona, that sounds delicious. Shiitake soy flavours, clay pot chicken rice with toasty crunchy bits on the rice. I had a feeling that quite a few people would opt out of the omelettes. I'm glad to hear, Shell, that you and Andrew are having omelettes. The trick with an omelette is that you got to cook it and eat it while it's hot. So get stuck in. Richard's making me an omelette, hopefully. So I'm going to get myself a glass of wine. Richard is the omelette chef at Moorooduc. There's not very many things that Richard cooks that Jill doesn't. Omelettes is one of the few. But let's have some Devil Bean Creek Pinot Noir 24. Lovely to see you guys. I'm a big fan of frittata as well, David. Hello, Jeff and Sue. I don't feel like I've quite stopped yet today. It's been a bit hectic. Anyway, glass of wine will help. What else have people got to say? What sort of quiche are you having, Craig? Is it a classic quiche Lorraine or a cheesy quiche? So I thought the interesting thing, and I'm not so sure if John and Cotty are on yet. Oh, Cotty, hello. Just omelette and a light green salad. Beautiful. Excellent. Well, cheers. Cheers to those of you who braved the omelette. As I say, if it's freshly made and hot, eat it while it's hot. And remember that, and it's funny because I know that I've been going on about how egg doesn't really go with wine, and I'll be interested to see what people who did go omelette found. But quiche and frittata, same thing really. Quiche has got a bit of pastry involved and some cream and things in there as well as the egg. It's the cheesiness. If you made a cheesy omelette or if you made a cheesy quiche or a cheesy frittata, they're the things, I think, cheese and egg, that take you to, as Elizabeth David said, a good Traminer from Alsace, a lovely white wine with a cheesy omelette. So I'm going to have a very classic egg omelette cooked in smoking hot butter with lots of salt and pepper in it, and hopefully it'll be one of Dad's most beautiful ones. They always look so good and taste even better. So I'm going to start on the wine first, but if you're eating omelettes, if you've got omelettes, eat them with the wine. Make sure that you don't get too much egg on the glass, and hopefully you'll be in heaven. All right, the wine. The nose on this wine is like falling into a cherry bus. I know, Craig, isn't it? A cherry bush. I like the cherry bus, actually, a bus full of cherries. It sounds pretty good to me. It has got a beautiful cherry nose, gorgeous colour. Don't forget to look at the colour. Hello, Linda. Duck for you, no worries. I think there'll be a lot of people not having omelettes, but I know that there's a few of you out there, so I'm very proud of you. Lots of cherries, black cherries and red cherries in there, a little bit of Morello cherry as well. It's all fruit straight out of the bottle. It'll be interesting to see how it breeds up. But remembering that Devil Bean Creek is our juicy little easy drinking, early drinking style. It's the 2024. We bottled it, I think we bottled it in December. No, bottled it early January and released it late January. So we really gave it sort of 3 or 4 weeks before we started showing it to wholesale customers. I wanted to wait a little bit longer to show it to you guys. Hello, Peter and Karen. Welcome. Lovely to see you. But this wine is so young and so fresh. It doesn't see any new oak. It's all about juicy fruit. So the fact that you're getting lots of cherries on the nose straight off is an absolute bonus and exactly what should be happening. Cotty, drinking the wine with the omelette reminds me a little of the eggs poached in red wine we had last year. I know for some people it's good. For some people it's a bit of a bridge too far. I think the difference between an omelette with red wine and a poached egg in red wine sauce with red wine is that the yolk in a poached egg is runny and the oil tends to be really oily and eggy, and that's what gets in the way of the wine. Whereas when it's all emulsified in an omelette, it's all mixed up, so you're less likely to have the egg fighting the wine in the way that it does with a poached egg. This omelette is amazing. Andrew jokes about how I shell it up with breakfast, and I think I'll start going simple. So, Shell, you just went with the Elizabeth David recipe. I'm so proud of you. It's really hard not to go, oh, just add a bit of this or a bit of that. So, well done. It's hard to believe how delicious a really good omelette that's just made of eggs and salt and pepper and butter is. I had to have a little sip of wine, which is tangy and fresh and juicy. It's got more pomegranate kind of fruit character on the palate because the acid's still quite tart and fresh. Hello, Zach and Jack. Welcome. Craig's saying it's going superbly with quiche. The acid in the wine works really well with the fatty cheese and egg. Absolutely. So I think coming back to Craig's description of it being a cherry bush, there's lots of cherry fruit, but there are some sort of herbal notes as well that make you think of sort of leafy green aromas and a little bit of thyme and oregano. I had oregano in my lunch today, and it sort of stuck with me, that really perfume smell that you get from dried oregano, and that's coming up a little bit in this wine as well. So. Cotty and John, how is the one going with your omelette? Because John very kindly sent through that. I don't know if anyone had time to read the old article by Elizabeth David. Hello, Kay. How you going? You got scrambled eggs and toast. Excellent work. Little hint of mint. Absolutely, Fiona, in a good way. Yeah, there's definitely some chopped mint, fresh chopped mint in there. And I think that if you didn't go too hard with the herbs in your omelette, you could stick some herbs into the omelette. But I think that the restraint of just making an omelette with eggs and salt and pepper and nothing else is awesome. And especially if you get the butter really hot and it starts to caramelize, then it caramelizes the outside of the omelette really beautifully. And that, I think, is the trick. And that's the thing I can't get right at home. I don't have a specific omelette pan, which Dad does. He's got an omelette pan that we're not allowed to wash. We wipe it out. It's a sacred pan just for omelettes. Cotty, you've added a little bit of chives and parsley. I think that would be wonderful. And I think if you can get beautiful free-range eggs from a friend whose chooks have been running around like Rob and Deb's, we're going to be having our omelette. Oh, here it comes. We're going to be having our omelette made from Jill's eggs as well. Thank you, Peter. Tastes better than it looks. I was going to say it's not the most impressive of Dad's omelettes ever, but it will taste wonderful, I'm sure. It still looks pretty yummy. It's just this lovely yellow pillow of fluffiness. Hello, Sonia. You've done the omelette with cheese and read the article. Good work. I can smell it already. The butter and the egg is such a good aroma smell. I feel like I'm going all little like a kid on a sofa, because that's what omelettes make me feel like. Okay, here we go. Pomegranate, absolutely, Dan. It's all over there. Craig wants to know if I'd say it's more herby than our other Pinots. The time's really strong. At the moment it is, Craig, but remember it's really young, and our estate Pinots and our single vineyard Pinots we don't release until they've been in bottle for a couple of years. So they've had time to sort of settle down, and the fruit comes forward and the herbal notes falls back. I've got a little shaggy end of my omelette. You can see how nice and thin the edges of that omelette are, but it's nice and it's still a little bit gooey in the middle. All right, I'm going to put this in my mouth and then I will talk again in a minute. And I'm going to be eating more during our session tonight because I can't let that omelette go cold. It's so delicious. Okay. Sonia, I hope that your omelette with cheese, that would be yummy too. I think the cheese and egg combination goes really well with Chardonnay as well, but hopefully it'll go well with the Pinot for you. So what does the egg and butter and salt and pepper do for the wine? I think it brings up the red cherry. I think it softens out the herbs a little bit. And it certainly softens out the pomegranate acidity on the palate. The flavour of the egg with the butter and the salt and pepper really works beautifully with the fruitiness of the wine. I think if you had a more savoury Pinot Noir, it might fight a little bit more with the omelette, but I think it works really nicely. I'm really pleased with that. John wants to know if the fruit comes from Duns Creek. So the fruit for the Devil Bean Creek is always fruit that gets declassified from the estate wine. So these days, Duns Creek is as likely to go into estate wine as it is to go into Devil Bean Creek. It just depends on how good it's looking compared to the other fruit that comes in. Some of the fruit, quite a lot of the fruit that goes into Devil Bean Creek is from the Osborne vineyard, always has been. Excuse me. Sometimes some fruit from the McIntyre vineyard goes in there if it's not good enough for estate or single vineyard. But yes, there's definitely some Duns Creek in there, but John, it's not a single vineyard wine. And it's really about when we look at the different parcels from within the different vineyards, what is looking the most forward, the most fruit driven, often a little more simple, a little bit more straightforward. And those are the barrels, they're the parcels that we think are best for Devil Bean Creek. We've actually, in 2024 and 2025, we haven't made the Devil Bean Creek yet, but I imagine we will do this again this year. But in 24, we made more Devil Bean Creek Pinot than we had to. We could have made more estate Pinot and less Devil Bean Creek because there was a lot of really delicious parcels of fruit that could have gone either way. But because we've been struggling to keep up with demand for Devil Bean Creek Pinot in the last few years, we made the decision to declassify a little bit more fruit than we needed to Devil Bean Creek, just to enhance the volume a little bit. So there's a little bit of it for us to sell to you guys, as well as for it to be out in the world for longer than a couple of months, hopefully. Although talking to my distributors, I'm not sure how much longer they're going to have it floating around. But I'm pretty sure that most of this wine will get drunk before it looks, in my mind, to be at its best anyway, because it's not a wine for long-term aging, but when it's only been bottled for a couple of months, it looks really fresh and bright and beautiful, and the fruits come back really nicely, but it's still a little bit cartoonish at the moment. So, Craig, so you classify at a barrel level or parcel, or what's the process? Hang on, I have to have another bite of my omelette before I answer that question. Is that you classify it the same at the time to Devil Bean Creek, or instead it's what doesn't make the Moorooduc Estate cut? That's a good question, Jackie. It's a bit of both. So, the process, and hopefully this will answer your question as well, Cotty, about whether we change our mind and reclassify wine. So we have a pretty good idea of the quality of fruit that's coming in from the different vineyards. And these days, particularly this year, we were pretty happy with the quality of most of the fruit from most of the vineyards. When we talk about parcels, the parcels will be the different parcels of single clones that we pick separately in vineyards, or different age vines that we pick at different times, or picking separate parcels from different parts of the vineyard. So we have lots of little parcels of fruit, usually sort of 2 to 4 tons to the parcel, and that'll be 1 or 2 fermenters. We put 2 tons, 1.5 to 2 tons of fruit into each fermenter. Each fermenter, even if a parcel is split across 2 fermenters, each fermenter will be slightly different, first of all. And so those, but if we've got MV6 from the Osborne vineyard, for example, in 2 fermenters, then they'll be pressed off and they'll go into a tank together and then straight to barrel. So that'll all be mixed up. So that'll be one parcel. Multiple barrels Craig. And we'll have an idea of which parcels we think go where, but sometimes there will be individual barrels that get declassified or that go up a level if those barrels look particularly good or a bit disappointing for the level that we thought they were going to be at. And yes, we do sometimes change our minds, Cotty. We don't make a decision about where things are going until really just before we bottle the Estate and the Devil Bean Creek Pinots. And they both get bottled at about the same time. So the final decision is just prior to bottling when we're putting the blends together. And we'll do some blending trials and say, what about these together? What about this element? Does this improve or detract from the estate wine? If it improves it, then it goes into this estate wine. If it's not good enough for the estate wine, it gets declassified to Devil Bean Creek. If it's not good enough for Devil Bean Creek, then we don't bottle it. But we haven't had that problem for a long time. Peter and Karen, omelettes made a la minute. One with cheese, one without. Plain goes best. Yep, cheese is yummy, Karen. And I think if you were having a Chardonnay, the cheesy omelette would be delicious, or a Gewürztraminer or a Pinot Gris. But with the Pinot Noir, I think that the plain omelette is the best match. It is fabulous. Jill says it's fabulous. We've had the vote from Chef over there. It is wonderful, isn't it? Jill's saying from across the room that the Devil Bean Creek Pinot is terrific. We're all agreeing hugely. So, have I answered everyone's questions? Fiona, your meal's quite salty, savoury, and the Devil Bean Creek seems quite happy even in that heavier food match. Absolutely. So I feel that as the wine's kind of evolving in the glass, and as Dad's making omelettes, because I'd like him to come out and talk about his omelette process because he's very serious about it. And if we want an omelette in this house, it's usually better to just ask him to make it rather than try and make it ourselves. I make one myself every now and again. It's okay, but it's nothing. And it looks similar to this, but doesn't taste as nearly as good. It does help. It does help, Peter and Karen. Really good butter, really good eggs. The best butter, the best eggs you can use. Salt and pepper, very happy. But where did this concept come from? Well, for me, Elizabeth David has been a bit of a food and wine muse. She's not like, she liked wine. She didn't ever aspire to be a wine expert, but she loved wine with her food. Cotty's getting a hint of mushroom in the wine, and I do too. I think, and that's another nice thing, that if you do want to make make an omelette with something in it, I think if you wilt off some mushrooms first with some salt and pepper, that can be a lovely addition to the eggs, and I think that would really kind of enhance the flavour combination with this wine. But Elizabeth David, Mum introduced me to Elizabeth David when I was in my teenage years. She bought me French Mediterranean cookbook, and anyone who has that book will know immediately what I mean. Anyone who doesn't have that book, it is such a wonderful read. The recipes are fabulous, but you need to read the book to get the stories. Elizabeth David was an English woman who travelled to France and loved the food that the people ate. And she would, hello, Dies, how you going? Just talking about Elizabeth David very briefly. She actually collected her first book of recipes as a project for, I believe, a university thesis, which is where I got particularly excited about her, because when I was studying French at university, I decided to do honours in French, mainly because they had announced a bursary for honours students, for the top 8 honours students, I think it was, or maybe it was 6, to go and study in a French-speaking country for 6 months and research their honours thesis there. And there were that many of us in third year of French. So if all of us went for the bursary and got into honours, we'd all get to go. So we did all go overseas. I went and lived in Lyon for 6 months. And my original thesis topic was something to do with French absurdist comedy, Eugene Ionesco. And they didn't have anyone at Monash University who knew anything about French absurdist comedy. So they said, no, sorry, we can't approve that dissertation topic. So Mum and I were talking, because Mum and I have always talked about our love of French and France together. And Mum said, why don't you do something like Elizabeth David? She went to France and collected recipes and wrote her university dissertation on French provincial cooking, which was her first cookbook, which Mum had given to me a few years previously. And it doesn't have any pictures, David. Absolutely don't need the pictures. Just read the words, because she writes beautiful word pictures in this book. And it's a little bit sad, because these books were researched and written in the 40s and 50s, I think. It was a long time ago. And you go to France these days, it's not the same. There's very few of these kind of country restaurants that just do, a slice of pâté de campagne for entree and an omelette and a salad for main course and a little tarte tatin for dessert. It's just not, it's very difficult to find that these days. But when you read this book, it takes you back, and it made me want to go to France. And I found in my travels some places a little bit like the places she described, but I think it's very much a description of a world that we've left behind. But I did my dissertation in the end on the Bouchons de Lyon, which are the local. They were restaurants that were for the silk workers who came in from the countryside to work in the silk factories in Lyon, and they go to the Bouchons de Lyon. The maire de Lyon would make set menus, so they a lot of the dishes are very famous. Poulet en deuil is one of the most famous, which is basically roast chicken that's had the skin kind of separated before they cook it. They separate the skin from the chicken and they shove lots of butter and black truffle slices in under the skin and then roast it, which sounds delicious. And I've never, ever eaten it in a traditional Bouchon de Lyon, but I really, really want to. These mothers of Lyon, the Maire de Lyon, opened these restaurants for the factory workers. They'd come in, they'd have their 2-hour lunch break, which unfortunately the French have abandoned their 2-hour lunch break these days. They couldn't travel all the way home for their wives to cook them lunch, which is basically how things worked in those days. So they'd go to these restaurants, they'd have a pichet of wine, which is a quarter of a bottle of wine, and maybe another pichet of wine if they were feeling thirsty, a 3-course meal, and then they'd go back to work in the afternoon. So I did my research on these restaurants and how the art of restaurants evolved in France, and how today fast food restaurants are threatening French culture. So that was, if anyone reads French, I've still got a copy of it in the bottom of my in the bottom of a drawer somewhere. It's in French. I was quite impressed with it when I wrote it. I looked at it recently and was quite impressed with it again when I looked at it, because I wrote, what was it, 10,000 words in 10,000 words or 100,000 words? I can't remember. It was a lot of words in French, and it was really good. So Peter and Karen, love Elizabeth David. Jane Grigson's the best food read. So Jane Grigson also writes beautifully. I've got all my grandmother's Jane Grigson books as well, so that's pretty good. Nareem, you bought the book following the previous Drinks with Kate. I know, it is a book that I go back to, and we'll probably have to have a session on Ottolenghi one of these days soon, because I think Ottolenghi is pretty awesome. When are we getting Drinks with Kate on French comedy? I may need a few bottles of Pinot for that. Yes, possibly, Craig. I've kind of moved away from that in my latter years. But, French absurdist comedy is awesome and weird. And I actually put on a French language production of La Cantatrice Chauve, which translates as the bald singer, the bald soprano, by Eugenie Ionesco when I was at university in fourth year when I came back from France. It's a wonderful play. It's very bizarre. I thought it was hilarious. My poor family had to come and watch it, and only Mum at the time spoke French. Beck spoke French a little bit, so I'm not sure how hilarious they thought it was, but I thought it was hilarious. And the amazing thing was, as the director and producer of the show with my then best friend, we had these incredibly talented French acting students at Monash. They're all people who studied French and were incredible actors who came and who acted the show for us. We just directed it. We pulled the strings, and it was wonderful. And I'm still in awe of those actors for doing what we needed them to do, and learning those lines and being able to put on this amazing play. So who knows? But check out, if you get a chance to read La Cantatrice Chauve, it's in translation, and it gets put on every now and again. It's very weird, it's very silly, and most of the French absurdist comedies are about sort of nihilism and you know, the nonsense of being alive, and it's sort of dark and bleak and funny at the same time. What did I do my dissertation on, Shell? The McDonald'sization of French restaurants and French culture. So it was a look at the history of French restaurants and how McDonald's has changed French culture forever. McDonald's and fast food culture has changed France forever, and whether that's taking away from the French culture. It's quite good. Dan, we have an MBWS wine tasting every Sunday morning. Have you not replied to your invite? Oh, Dan, I think you're getting into trouble now. Asked Jill if she would make the amazing truffle chicken one. Jill, would you make the amazing truffle chicken one for us one day? The poulet en deuil with the truffle under the skin? No, she said no. If we can get the truffles. Yeah. We might do it, but it'll be a very expensive lunch, and you all have to promise to come because the truffles will be very expensive. We'll have some lovely wines, though. Rick Stein did a series on the premise that provincial French food is in decline. He found that places like railway station restaurants and truck stops maintain the old style of French food. Coddy, that's really interesting, because one of the most fun lunches that we had on a trip in France, God, I was going to say a recent trip in France, but I think it was in 2011, so it wasn't that recent. And we were driving between Alsace and Champagne, I think, and we stopped at a truck stop that someone had identified as being a decent French truck stop restaurant, and it was ace. It was, I can't remember what we ate, but it was delicious. It was like a stew of some sort, and they had, you know, basic country wine in the pichet. It was all awesome. Kay said they'll pay, Jill, don't worry. Everyone's coming to your truffle lunch now. We've sold all the tickets. There are no spots left. You've just got to do it now. I loved, the Rick Stein is pretty awesome. African Rhinoceros. Rhinoceros is also a fantastic play, David. Thank you. Rhinoceros is what it's called. It's also Eugenie Ionesco. It's very bizarre and awesome. I love that. And that was one of the plays that I actually wanted to write my dissertation on, but everyone said, no, we don't know. We don't understand it. Sorry. Fiona's emphatically there. Craig's there. Jill, we've sold it. Shell and Andrew are going to sell one of their cats for a truffle lunch, Jill. So I think you're going to have to do it. No, Shell, you don't have to sell one of your cats, I promise. Fiona's going to buy Shell's cat. Jill's just made friends with the woman from Red Hill Truffles, so I think this is a plan, guys. Shell's dissing her cat. We're going to move on from that because, you know, Cats are beautiful, even when they're bastards. I finished my omelette now, so I can stop eating at you. Thank you, Richard. Would you like to come and talk to people about omelettes? Or are you too busy? Come and say a little bit then. They'll even like it even better if you don't have a lot to say. What's the trick? What's the trick of making a fabulous omelette? Because I copy what you do, I think, but it doesn't work.
Well, I think it's keeping it simple, and a couple of things. I don't approve of putting other things in omelettes. I think the omelette should be just the eggs and a good bit of butter in the pan and some salt and pepper. And the only sort of trick that I might pass on is you've got to get the butter in the pan quite hot before you add the beaten up egg, and it should make a very strong hissing sort of sound as it hits the pan.
When you put the egg in.
When you put the egg in.
But if it doesn't make that noise, then it's too late to fix it, isn't it? So you have to practice. So
it should be just turning brown, the butter, just turning brown before you do that, and then it's a matter of sort of folding it around so that it gets cooked and trying to make it a nice little parcel. It's also delicious.
Well, it was delicious. Thank you. Can I ask before you go away, am I right in thinking that you learnt your omelette technique by reading French Provincial Cooking by Elizabeth David?
Yeah, well, very much influenced, because my mother didn't make omelettes like that, and I think she should have.
Yeah, right. So you have a question, Dad. Sonia wants to know number of eggs to size of pan.
Well, the pan we use would be a medium-sized fry pan.
You can go and get your pan and show them.
Okay, I could.
Yeah.
2 eggs.
2 eggs, which would makes an omelette like that for. And Fiona wants to know cast iron pan or non-stick or stainless. And I think Richard's is aluminium, isn't it, Dad? It's certainly not cast iron. Jackie, I know you want that T-shirt, but that T-shirt, and Dan, yes, it is a good T-shirt. That T-shirt we cannot sell because we'll get sued by a certain beer company that shall not be named. But that was our vintage T-shirt from last year. We haven't come up with, so you have to come and do vintage to get a T-shirt like that.
That's the size.
That's the pan. Let them see your T-shirt again, Dad, because they're all drooling over your T-shirt. It's good, isn't it?
A beer.
Yeah. No, so we can't sell those T-shirts. No, that T-shirt's not available for purchase. You have to come and do a hard-earned thirst needs a big bold Pinot, Moorooduc Pinot. Absolutely, Craig. Thank you, Richard. So that pan, I think, was a non-stick pan, but all the non-sticks come off it. Is that right?
You were suggesting that, I can't remember,
yeah.
But you were suggesting to mention that we only use this pan for omelettes and we just wipe it out at the end. So it doesn't go through the dishwasher.
Doesn't go through the dishwasher, doesn't have any soap put on it. It's cured in butter and egg only. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dad. That was a delicious omelette. And it went very well with the Devil Bean Creek Pinot Noir, I thought. Some toast. No, I'm all right, thank you. But enjoy. Fabulous wine. Jill wants to buy some. Jackie wants to know if we've got any of those T-shirts for a prize one lunchtime. I think we only made enough for the people who did vintage last year. Jill said she'll wash hers well and put it up for auction. Dad, Peter and Karen say thank you, and I think we all say thank you to you for your omelette wisdom as well as your wine wisdom, because you made a beautiful wine with Devil Bean Creek last year. That's entry-level Pinot from us from last year. It's the first look, which is very exciting. We did have a look at the Pinot Gris on skins last week before, whenever we did. Also, Nareem, could you fit into Jill's T-shirt? Depends how tight you like it. Could show off your six-pack, be beautiful. What if we pay for shipping and you drop the shirts in the box? What, Jill? Oh, Jill thought Jill thought I was saying something much ruder. Keely could absolutely. Jill, I think you had a large one, didn't you, Jill? So it's kind of baggy on her. So it might fit. You never know. Keely. Oh, it was from Keely. Yes, Keely, you'd fit into Jill's T-shirt. We might have to have an auction for that T-shirt one day when we need to raise some money for Moorooduc. When we put that T-shirt on auction, you'll know that we need some money. Sonia, I love this top. I bought this in Adelaide. On the Saturday when some of us are in Adelaide, I'll take you to the shop. David, behave yourself. What about tour shirts for our Barossa trip? Well, Craig, Peter and I are working on that, so watch this space. T-shirts would be good, wouldn't it? What about a hat? You want those? No, you can't have those for tour shirts. No. Those ones that was a one-off. We've moved on from those now. Next. Right. We're 36 minutes in. The wine is getting more savoury as it sits in the glass, although I've only got a tiny little bit in my glass, so I can't really smell it very well. Maybe someone will bring the bottle back to me. Oh dear. It's funny sometimes. Thank you, Peter. Thanks. So take it back, drink it. You guys drink it, please. It's got a little bit of a lolly kind of aroma to it as well. It hasn't a little bit of soy, Fiona. Excellent. Yep. Down top. So I was just about to say it's getting really savoury. There you go. Too slow. Gotcha. It is getting savoury. More soy, but then also that kind of juby raspberry, cherry, strawberry kind of a lolly shop kind of a smell as well, which I think is really yummy. A little bit of licorice coming through, or aniseed maybe. So it is opening up with a bit more complexity, but it's still just deliciously gluggable. This probably is a good time for me to segue to thank all of you who have joined up to the Drinks with Kate on subscription with the new website. That's awesome, and it means that you guys will be able to access this wine by the dozen with a 15% discount. If you're not ready to subscribe to Drinks with Kate, I don't really understand, but I totally understand. And we hope that you'll keep buying the boxes anyway, because I think this is a really fun thing. And I just wanted to say, while we're all here together, that I really love our sessions together, and this would not have been able to work without you guys coming back week after week to talk to me about wine and drink wine with me. So this is a collaborative little project. It's pretty awesome. I think that it has legs, and as we said on our tracksuit pants a couple of years ago, anyone who's got the hoodie or the tracksuits who are coming on the South Australia trip, please bring them, because that would be very cool. But yeah, exactly. Peter and Karen, you can absolutely still order 2 boxes if you subscribe. You can do it one of 2 ways. You can do it the way the Inchleys did and just order 2 boxes. Instead of 1 box, you just take it up to 2 and it just subscribe, boop, 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 all done. And you can have 3, exactly. Or you can order 1 and then you can just buy another one later, and it'll still have free shipping and stuff like that from the shop if you're in the wine club. So you can do it either way. But I just order 2 and we'll send you 2. It's easy peasy. Fiona and David have to have 1 each. We are coming up to a 5-year Drinks with Kate anniversary, Jackie. Absolutely. In fact, I think it's about now, because we started Drinks with Kate at the end of March, and it's the end of March now. So I think that deserves a little toast. If anyone's got any Pinot Noir left in their glass, cheers to us. And Well, you're coming up to your 5-year Drinks with Kate anniversary. I think Drinks with Kate is coming up to I think it's 6 years, because we started in 2020. So 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. It's 5. We're going into the 6th. That's right. I did work it out previously. Anyway, cheers. And I have a lot of people in the wine industry who laugh when I say I'm still doing online tastings that we started in 2020. Don't cry, Craig. It's okay. We'll have a little group hug. And people laugh at me and say, why are you still doing online tastings? I'm like, because they're awesome. We love them, and it's really fun. And everyone who gets it. So yay. It also means you've got a good excuse to stay home and drink wine on a Thursday night, which is awesome. Good work, Peter and Karen. Couldn't survive Thursdays without Drinks with Kate. Love it. Love it. Well, team, on that note, we have a new box available, box 2. It's in the shop on the new website. If you've subscribed to Drinks with Kate, it's on its way to you already. If you haven't subscribed and you haven't ordered it, get it ordered. Pete's doing deliveries next Wednesday, and if there's enough orders, he'll also be doing deliveries the following Wednesday. So we'll be starting the next box, not next week. It'll still get to you. It'll still get to you if he doesn't. You laugh at me for the absurdist French theatre. Exactly. I feel that this is the epitome of absurdist French theatre, is me talking to an image of myself on the computer and pretending that I have all these friends out there who are drinking wine with me. And you guys just facilitate my madness. It's wonderful. So next week is the 3rd of April, and we're having a little break. Drinks, dinner and a show. Absolutely, Dan. And then on the 10th of April, we start box 2, wine 1. So it's not long. It's not long. We have a little break next week. I haven't really arranged for us to do anything, but, if you guys want to do a little catch-up over a bottle of wine, grape variety by choice, I can come up with something by Monday. Do you want to catch up next week, or do you want to have a week off so that you can just kind of miss me a little bit and then come back in 2 weeks' time? Totally up to you guys. We haven't done any cocktails for a little while because Peter says 5 years in wood is something you don't get. So 5 years is wood. So good on you, Peter. Thank you. I love the smells that we're getting off this now. It's kind of earthy and forest flory and all sorts of things. So we haven't done any cocktails for a while because the cocktails kind of were less popular. We have grape varieties that we can explore and wines from different places that we can explore. So I might send out a little whiskey next week, Shell. Okay. I will take that challenge and I will run with it. I don't drink whiskey very often anymore, but I think, let me just check my diary. Oh, yes, no, I'm free next Thursday. So I'll, the Manhattan, absolutely correct. We did a Manhattan. Did we not do a Manhattan last year? I have a very strong feeling that we did. I will check back. We'll do a cocktail. We'll do a whiskey cocktail. I will find something fun. We've done an old fashioned before. There's more to explore. So let's a couple of weeks late for St. Patrick's Day, but that's okay. We'll do whiskey next week. If you want to join, that would be awesome. If you want to take a week off, I won't be offended. No, Peter, we will not be doing zero alcohol beers next week, maybe in 7 weeks' time. We do probably, Good and Veltliner at some stage. Absolutely, Kay. I think that would be fun. David, I hope you're saying no to zero alcohol beers and not to whiskey. But if anyone wants to join and whiskey's not their thing, we'll do some fun things. Cotty, 5 weeks before we see you all. Oh, that's before is that until the, are you going away, Cotty, or are you talking about it's not 5 weeks till we go to Adelaide, surely. I've got a little fruit fly. Anyway, if you're going away, Cotty and John, have a fabulous trip. Everyone else, Gruyere plus one. Craig, I don't even know what you're talking about now. Gruyere. Okay, team, we will do Sicily and UK. Cotty, have a fabulous trip. And John, have a fabulous trip as well. Maybe have a fabulous trip together. Very jealous. We'll see you when you get back. And everyone else, I'll talk to those of you who want to join me for whiskey next week. I'll send you an email on Monday. Take it easy. Take care. Look after yourselves. Love you lots. Have fun. Cheers.